Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, it's quite sunny outside now. A couple of hours ago, when I was on the golf course, pouring with rain. It's a story I think that a number of you can probably empathize with. Anyhow, to boxing. Well. I'm not sure whether to be disappointed or really happy, as it appears that Jaime Mungia has, well, to put it bluntly, failed a Vada test. We'll get into the details. So that's the, I'm disappointed, right? Because yet again, somebody of profile gets caught. On the other hand, I'm happy because it shows that the system is working. I mean, if you only catch like little fish, every now and again, somebody who nobody has heard of gets caught, it can foster an impression that, oh, look, they're very thorough. They use a very, very fine net. They catch, even these small little fellows, right? Well, yes, but it's sort of, what doesn't happen. And that's, famous people with profile, champions, don't get caught. So anyways, I'm not sure whether to be disappointed or happy, but the fact remains that Jaime Mungia has gotten himself into some problems. This is all being reported by Mike Coppinger. He used to be ESPN. He's with The Ring now. And of course, The Ring magazine is owned by Turki Al Sheikh. I may as well read you the story. Bruno Surace demands his loss be overturned after Vada says Jaime Mungia tested positive. So that's the headline story, right? Now, I had some money on Bruno winning. I wonder, will my local lottery corporation that runs online gaming give me any money back? I won't hold my breath on that. Anyhow, Coppinger goes on to say that apparently Vada informed all relevant parties Wednesday, so I'm assuming that that's Bruno's camp, team, manager, promoter, etc., as well as Jaime Mungia's group and all associated lawyers, WBC and everybody. There's clearly a bunch. We'll get beyond that on that distribution list. So the A sample returned an adverse analytical finding for exogenous origin of testosterone metabolites. So exogenous, something outside of the body, something to do with testosterone, doesn't look like it's something that's naturally occurring. I don't know anything about these things, but clearly it's something that's enough to raise a flag, right? Following a urine sample on May the 4th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, when he defeated Bruno Surace, sources told The Ring. So somebody, no doubt, on that undoubtedly very wide distribution list, picked up the phone and called Mike Coppinger. Coppinger continues to say, Mungia, 45-2, 35 KOs. So he's lost to Canelo and he lost to Surace. Okay, right. He's got 10 days. He can request an analysis of the B sample, which, as I understand, is from the same urine sample. He has 10 days in order to have that and to say, look, I want that tested, just in case, there's something that was wrong with the A sample, the way it was handled, contaminated in some way. I'm not sure does anybody remember a time when the A sample failed and the B sample passed? I can't think of one off the top of my head, but whatever. Let us know in the comment section if you can remember a time. Apparently, if the B sample also returns an adverse finding for the banned substance, Mungia faces suspension and the results of his decision victory could be overturned to a no contest. That's what Coppinger goes on to say. Mungia, who's 28, defeated Surace in the super middleweight rematch after he was KO'd in round 6 by the Frenchman in December in the ring's upset of the year. I'm shocked by the news that Jaime Mungia tested positive for a banned substance. Surace, who's 26, told The Ring on Thursday, "There's no place in boxing for cheating. The sport is dangerous enough already. I went to Mexico and knocked out Mungia fair and square in December, and I was gracious enough to give him a rematch in May. He knew he could not beat me on a level playing field. I trust that this result will be overturned immediately." Seems like a very, reasonable kind of response, right? Certainly he hasn't sort of, jumped off the deep end there. He's sort of like, hey, look, I went over to your backyard and I beat you. Fair and square, give you a rematch, and you've, use colloquialism, you've juiced yourself. It was a career-defining victory. Surace sprung the upset. Mungia linked up with renowned trader Eddie Reynoso ahead of the rematch. Eddie Reynoso. He may have been involved in a substance issue with somebody else. I can't recall offhand. Ahead of the rematch and held training camp in the Sierra Nevada mountains alongside former foe Canelo Alvarez. Probably where that substance story is lurking in my mind from. It just goes on to talk about how the rematch went. That victory could be eliminated as Mungia faces discipline following a rocky 2024 where he suffered the first 2 losses of his career. So, what do we think? I guess it depends what we think about how PEDs should be treated in sports, right? Assuming that he is found to have these substances in his system, so let's just jump a couple of spaces, because you've got to go through that process to make sure that the samples haven't been contaminated and that what you were talking about is something that's properly banned, and that you've got to break it down. Was there some reasonable way it could be in the system or whatever? But let's get to the end of let's assume, and this is all this is, let's assume that on the balance of probabilities, Mungia has this substance in his system. What do you think should be done? We see a very uneven surface when it comes to how PED use, or any drug use, to be honest with you, is treated, right? We have some people who are, given like a 4-year ban. And then we have other people who, they just don't play ball for a while. And then they're back and nothing is really ever said. And then we have some for whom it doesn't really seem to affect their career. People still give them massive fights and nobody ever talks about it. And, things go on, right? Given that it's such a dangerous sport, weaponizing your body, which is what I consider PED used to be, putting you at a competitive advantage over your opponent, in a sport where people can and have been killed, is something that should not be treated in any way, leniently. I would say first offense, 3-year ban as a That's a minimum thing. Sorry, 3-year ban. Second offence, lifetime ban. And I think it should be made as straightforward and accessible as possible for people to civilly sue those who used PEDs and those who have supplied and those who are thought to be responsible in some way besides the athletes. But that's my view. Some people might say, oh, well, that's way too harsh. And some people might say, oh, I'm not going far enough. Again, what's your view on these things? So anyways, a disappointing story, a good story, and regardless, I think an interesting story, and I like to see what's going to happen in the real world with Mr. Mungia. I suspect that it will be something much more akin to a slap on the wrist than what I would like to see, but I will follow this story carefully and report out on it. So please please share, please subscribe. Thank you very much to those who have already. And most importantly, wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous day. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.